Hello everyone, I'm Binalpreet Kalra from Youth Culture, and today we welcome the fearlessly talented and creative Xania Khan to the show. Thanks for joining us, Xania. How are you?
I'm great, Binal. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing.
Yeah.
So how are things? Anything new that you've done so far this summer?
It's been an interesting summer to say the least. But uh, everything's great. I can't complain. I'm enjoying the summer as much as I can. Pivoted on a few different things. Obviously, we all had things planned and lined up for the summer, and with the current pandemic, things have obviously changed. But that's where you embrace change. You start to think about other things that you can do. I even bought a bicycle. I mean, I have a motorcycle, but I bought a bicycle, and I did my first 20K ride last Friday night with a couple of friends.
That's crazy amazing.
Yeah. How about you? What have you been up to over the summer?
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to grade 12, so I've had some a lot of reflection, I think, especially
Mm-hmm.
with everything going on as well, just personally. And also just working on a lot of individual skills, trying to learn new things. I feel like this is the perfect time to just learn more about myself and just things I've been wanting to do for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of free time. I've tried to learn some coding, join some hackathons, as well as some student-led initiatives,
Oh,
and
you're
just
a
some
tech girl.
artistic. I
You're a
mean,
tech girl.
I want to be someday.
No, you are. You are a tech girl, and you're gonna evolve that.
So you've had extensive experience ranging from publishing to technology. Can you tell
Mhm.
us about how you ended up where you are today?
Sure. When I started in publishing, it was print. It wasn't digital. Digital wasn't around, but it was starting to creep in. And I came from newspapers. It came from magazines, and digital started to make its way into not just the publishing industry, but obviously on a global perspective. And as print started to decline, and digital was on the uptick, it was time to start thinking about, is what I'm doing going to be obsolete? How do I make myself more relevant? How do I stay up with the times, the changing times? And that's when I started to transition into different areas of publishing or different types of publishing, and taking my skill sets and applying it into other areas that where content was relevant, where content is always relevant. We call content king, or I can say content is queen. But regardless of what you call it, people are reading, whether they're reading something in hard format or whether they're reading something digitally. It was important that I paid attention to what was happening, and to stay on top of that. And that's how I transitioned into a more digital world. I mean, if you didn't, you were going to be left behind, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I
Mm-hmm.
agree. I see you've been part of a lot of the development phases, which is super cool because that's something that the youth generation hasn't really faced. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna end up going through that as well because technology is evolving so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. I guess that you didn't really expect where you are today when you first started it, right?
Right, right. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's similar to what a lot of businesses, or every business, is going through right now with COVID. Is they're forced to. It was forced upon us to make these changes. Whereas when you're going through your career, you're making more conscious decisions in how you're going to navigate yourself through the landscape. And so when you do that once and you do it again, you become accustomed to changing and pivoting and moving in different directions and learning new skills. But when it's forced upon you, it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking experience to some. And if you're not used to making those changes, there could be a level of fear involved in that. And so what I would say is to anyone who might be feeling fearful or not sure of how to navigate themselves through turbulent waters, or if they think they need to make a change, embrace it. Embrace it. It's better to embrace any kind of change than it is to resist it, because everyone beside you, behind you, and in front of you, if they're embracing it, you're going to be left behind. So don't fear it, embrace it always.
100%. And a little philosophy that I like to keep in mind, just in regards to that, I guess, is the only thing in life that is certain is change, right? Change is certain. And so I guess, like, instead of trying to avoid it, like embracing it, like you said, is super important. Will just help you grow even better and even quicker, I guess, into someone like who's even better than you kind of expected. I understand that you are a big fan of motorcycles. Can you tell us more about this and why do you love it so much?
Yes, I have been riding. I've been riding motorcycles for 8 years now.
Wow.
I came into it. I came out of a very turbulent phase of life, and I had dated guys in the past who had motorcycles, and I've always been a passenger. And I said to myself one day, I'm like, no more passenger, let's just do it. And I thought, let me just do the course, have fun with the course, and see where it goes. I did the course, fell in love, bought my bike before the course was over, and I never looked back since. I've had a couple accidents, one surgery, totaled a bike, but got back on the horse because it had become such a big part of my life. I enjoy riding because it gives me a sense of adventure and freedom. It allows me to unplug from technology. I'm in nature all the time. I'm outside. I've made a great group of friends that I hang out with and ride with consistently. It's fun, and I'm sorry. It was just like it's freeing. It's liberating. There's so much I could say to it, and I do some of my best thinking when I'm on the motorcycle. I've got no phone calls, no screen in front of me. It's just open road and nature and scenery and the sound of the engine and the sound of the wind blowing through the helmet. It's true therapy. And when you can't, or when you're not able to travel, you can't travel somewhere every weekend, but you can travel on your motorcycle. So it gave me that escapism where I wasn't able to travel all the time. I'd hop on the bike, and to me, that was an adventure. I would travel somewhere in Ontario. The furthest I've taken the bike was Nova Scotia. So I rode to Nova Scotia. That was my first major solo trip. Did that and back in about 8 or 9 days.
That's absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah, it was.
But that's so cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, and the big stereotype is that, well, I wouldn't say that stereotype is prevalent much anymore. I see there are so many female riders that have broken down barriers.
100%. So I guess.
What about you?
I think for me, something that I've done like since I was like a child, I've heard my mom say, although I'm not sure how true it is that when I first picked up the pencil, I like picked it up like the right way, which is like, I don't know. But I used to draw on walls all the time, and like ever since I was like very, very little, like art's always been there, and it still is. So I think that's like one thing that has stayed consistent throughout my life, and just art in general, like drawing, painting, but also film, editing, photography. I'm not that good at it, but I'm learning. And music as well, like piano. I have a ukulele that I like just like strumming sometimes, even though I'm not professional. But it just like, I don't know. I think art has been something that's been part of my life, and I really hope to like continue to make it part of my life, even though sometimes like not anymore, but I guess like while I was growing up, and not really realizing what the world has to offer, I kind of started to disengage from that because it wasn't part of my career, or it didn't seem like something that I could implement. But then I learned from like other mentors and my teachers that, like, you know, doctors, for example, have to take art courses because they have to do a lot of drawings, or something related to that, or maybe like combining with architecture. And just in general, like now we're doing app designing, for example, and that has a lot of creative ability, like you do. And I think that like different things like these, like how we mentioned at the very beginning, combining our different interests. So I really hope to sustain that part of my life as I grow older, and if anything, as part of a hobby that I continuously do on the weekends or whenever I can. But yeah, so that's, I think that's
don't
my
lose that.
take.
Don't lose sight of or neglect your creative side, because it will bring a balance to who you are as a person. All work and no play, you don't want to burn out, you know, and you need those outlets, and you want to develop those outlets, because it's those outlets that you're going to find inspiration to your workday, or you'll force yourself to think differently by, you know, whether you're playing the piano or the ukulele, or, you know, drawing on walls, or whatever you might be doing. It's that freedom, and that's where your brain starts to relax and ideas start to flow, and you might come up with that one thing that's going to launch you in a different direction, is through your creative outlet. So don't ever let that go. Don't neglect them.
Yeah, 100% agree with you.